Hi, welcome to the Money Guy Money Show. It's Monday morning, so of course it's hashtag Money Monday, and today I'm talking about how to reduce your debt following Christmas, including from credit cards and loans. And I've got a question from a friend of mine who's talking all about tax codes and what it actually is going to cost him over the next 12 months. So let's get into it. Hi, welcome back to the Money Guy Money Show. So I'm in my living room today as I can't go out anywhere or do anything. And I've got my first bill through, which has prompted me to go, right, I need to talk to people about this because I need people to understand how to keep the cost of bills to an absolute minimum. So today we're going to be covering balance transfers for credit cards and also getting a loan to pay off a loan. Let's start off with credit cards. It's been a month or so since Christmas, so we should all be getting, if we haven't got already, through our credit card bills. And you might notice there's a little bit on there which is a real pain in the bum, which is called interest. I hate that bit because it's an extra sum of money that you're paying whoever your lender is for no particular reason other than they call it costs. And of course I've got a business to run and I understand that, I get it, I understand how capitalism actually works. However, it's really important that we try and keep that figure to an absolute minimum, ideally zero. So it's important that we begin right at the very beginning. So with a credit card, I just want to explain two different things that you'll find on letters and gumph that you get from them. On some, you'll find 0% on card purchases. Purchases, that is right, isn't it? Yeah. And then you get 0% on balance transfers, and it's important that you understand which one is which and what does what. So 0% on card purchases. I haven't got a card to hand. Let's use this here. Imagine this here as my credit card. And this is giving me 0% on card purchases. It means I owe no one anything. It's a brand new card. It's came in the post. And I'm going to use this, I would assume, in the next week or so. If it's 0% for 12 months on card purchases, it means I can go and buy something on this today. And I've got 12 months to pay that off. Remember, the time is ticking the second you've got this. So if you don't use this until 2 months time, you've only got now 10 months to pay off whatever's owing without any extra further interest. So that's on 0% on card purchases. On balance transfers, it's slightly different, and ordinarily balance transfers you do get a longer period of time to pay things off. So I've got my credit card through again. Except this time, if it's 0% for 24 months, it means that I will pay off the old credit card provider, whatever you owe, don't worry about that, and I'm going to pay it all off, and I'm going to give you 2 years, 24 months, 2 years to pay that off interest free, which is great. That's what we want, that's what we're going for, that's the dream. We want to pay off exactly what we owe, fair enough, but we don't want to keep paying interest if we can help it. So a balance transfer, as I just said then, is in its most simplistic way, is if I'm the new credit card provider, I'm going to pay the old credit card provider off in full, whatever it is that you owe, and then you will owe me instead. The difference being, if you keep using them, they're going to charge you interest, and if you use me, I'm not going to charge you any interest whatsoever. So there's a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. If you know for a fact that you can pay it off within 3 months, and you see this deal for 24 months, you might well be thinking, well, what's the point? I'm going to pay this off, I'm going to clear it in 3 months. Well, then the question is, do you want to pay interest for the next 3 months? And you may well be happy with that. You might think to yourself, do you know what? I'm about to get a mortgage, my mortgage is due to renew, I want to keep my credit score squeaky clean, I'm going to get rid of that debt in 3 months, I'll take the hit, which is fair enough. If you have got nothing coming up, and you really don't want to pay people extra money needlessly, there's no reason why you can't get a new credit card, do the balance transfer. It takes about a week for the payment to go through and pay it all off, but at least for the next 3 months you're not paying that extra interest. Sometimes when you get a credit card from the new provider, this one may give you £2,000, I might be a bit tight, I might only give you £1,000. So of course then some people say, never mind. Stop there, because if I'm giving you £1,000, it means you can clear half this debt. You can clear half this debt straight away and not pay any interest on half of it, which is already halving your interest bill, which is where we want to be. We want to keep those payments to an absolute minimum if we can help it. So what you do is you set up a brand new credit card, as I've just done, you transfer half of it. Now I'm not going to charge you anything, This one's going to charge you still whatever rate of interest it's charging, usually about 21-22%-ish kind of mark. So what you would do is you'd set up the minimum payment with me, because you have to make at least the minimum payments every month. Doesn't matter whichever credit card provider you're with, otherwise you will start falling behind, you'll start getting credit card charges, and we don't want that. So set up the minimum amount with me and get rid of that one as quick as humanly possible. As soon as you've paid that off, brilliant, you can then start drilling down and getting rid of my debt that you owe me instead. I hope that makes sense. It is a bit more complicated, and it will depend on your own personal circumstance as to whether you're at the time in your life where you can apply for a credit card or not. There are a couple of really good balance transfer credit cards at the moment. We've got who we've got? We've got Virgin Money, who's giving you 28 months and 24 months. With 28 months on balance transfers, they are charging you a fee of 2.7%, and for the 24 months, they're going to be charging you 1.25%. Now let me just explain a little bit about the fee. As we just said, if I was going to pay off your old debt, you're not going to pay them interest anymore, because you're going to come over to my credit card. I might charge a fee, but don't let the fee put you off. In this scenario, Virgin Money will charge you either 2.7%, £27, or 1.25%, £12.50, if I was to transfer over £1,000. So the fee is a percentage of how much you are transferring across. Like I just said then, if it's £1,000 that I'm paying off your old credit card, if it's a 2.7% fee, it's going to cost you £27 to get it transferred over. But that's probably only a month's worth of interest, maybe 2 months worth of interest at a push. But then you're still getting the rest of the time interest free. With the 24 months, you might see the 24 months deal as a better deal, simply because you're paying £12.50 versus £27. If you know you can clear it in 24 months, perhaps that would be a better deal for you. If you think, do you know what, I still can't push to it, I'm not going to get that done in 24, 28, I'll get it done, then fantastic, maybe a 28-month deal will be better for you as well. There's also Santander, they're giving you 0% on 18 months, but there is no fee attached to it. There's also NatWest giving you the same deal on that as well. So NatWest and Santander, they will do the balance transfer for 18 months, so nowhere near the 24-month mark like the likes of Virgin Money, but they won't charge you any fee. But only do that if you know that you can clear it in 18 months. Don't let the fee put you off doing a balance transfer, because more often than not, it's absolutely more than financially viable to pay that fee instead of paying interest charges instead. Now, that's credit cards. Moving on to loans. Now, this can happen throughout the course of the year. There are so many people that will borrow loans for a number of different reasons. It could be to buy a new car, to do your house up, you name it. Doesn't matter. Irrelevant. What I would like you to do today is to phone or get your loan contract out and have a little look and see how much interest you are paying. Sometimes it is financially viable to get a brand new loan to pay off the old loan, no different to the balance transfer, except rather than going from company to company, all you're doing is maintaining it within the same company perhaps, or you're just doing it physically yourself. So if you were to go from Santander to Lloyds, for argument's sake, you've got a loan with Santander, let's say you're being charged 12% for there, you've noticed Lloyds are doing a great deal at only 3%, so you're going to go over to Lloyds, you set up a brand new loan, you make sure that you pay off the old loan from Santander, you owe them nothing anymore, you still owe the same amount of money with Lloyds, however, you're not paying anywhere near as much interest, and you can do that whenever you want. There's not like as long as you are paying less with the new one than you are with the old one, it's usually more than financially viable to do that. We have great deals at the moment in terms of loans, only because lending is at an all-time low. You have the likes of Kahoot, TSB, Sainsbury's, and there's a new lender called RateSetter I've not heard too much about, but I'm going to look them up for you. They're all doing 2.8%, which is the typical APR from £7,500. Now, let me just explain what typical APR is. Typical APR means 51% of the applicants will get that rate. It also usually has a kind of caveat, a kind of little bit of an amount you have to borrow before you get that amount of money. More often than not, we see 2.8% and you think, that is a cracking deal. and you apply because you want to get a £5 loan, and then it comes up at 12%, and you think that's nowhere near 2.8%. Well, if you look carefully, normally have to borrow about £7,500, and it depends on which lender, from £7,500 to roughly £12,500. That's their sweet spot, and that's when they'll give you that really, really good rate. It doesn't mean that you should take it, by the way. If you only need 3, it doesn't mean you should take 7.5 to get that really good rate, although that is a way around it as well. If you want a loan of £3,000 and you know it's going to cost you 12.5% or whatever the rate is, there's no reason why you couldn't get a loan at £7,500 to secure that beautiful rate of 2.8%, and then you can pay off whatever it is that you owe down to £3,000. So if you know you're only going to use £3,000 of it, you borrow 7.5, I get 2.8% rather than 12%. I'm going to pay £4,500 off almost a week later, a couple of days after I've received it, because I don't need it. I only need 3, and then you've still got £3,000, but it's at a far more favourable rate of 2.8%. I don't advocate this unless you are absolutely strict on your money control, because people do often go, oh, I'll do £7,500, and then they end up using it on takeaways and stuff. So we don't want to be in that position at all. So that's a way around of getting a cheaper rate, just so you know. You don't be disheartened if you find other rates. If it's below 7.5 or more than 12.5, the rates tend to creep back up again, depending on which end of the scale you're at. All this is down to credit scoring as well. We'll do another video on credit scoring in a couple of weeks' time, about how to make sure your credit rating is as high as it possibly can. I wanted to talk quickly about tax codes as well. Now, I've launched on Twitter and on Facebook, on my It's Money Guy group, a poll, which was, if I was the Inland Revenue, I'm HMRC, and you get your little letter through and it says, we are going to reduce your personal allowance by £3,500, how much would I be taxing you? How much money are they going to be taking off of you physically? The answers that I put were £700, £350, £58.33, and trick question, none of the above. And the answer is £700. Or if you had chosen £58.33, that would also be acceptable, because it's £58.33 times 12. If you did £58.33 monthly, should equal roughly £700, and that is 20% of £3,500. Now this is where it gets really, really complicated, needlessly complicated. All of us are allowed to earn £12,570 before we get taxed. Why it's £12,570 rather than just £12,600 or 13, who knows? Anyway, someone's decided that. So we can earn £12,570 before we start getting taxed at 20%. If I was to reduce your allowance by £3,500, then that means that £3,500 less, what's the rest? Quick maths is about £9,000 odd. Right, I got to the math. 9,070, I think you're left with. That then means that you could earn £9,070, and then we'll start taxing you at 20%, because they've reduced it by £3,500. It doesn't mean they're taking £3,500 off of you, although at first glance it does seem like that. They're saying 20% of £3,500 would equal £700. So if I reduce your tax allowance by £3,500, I'm not taking £3,500 off you. You can still earn that, but that's the point at which I'm going to start taxing you at 20%. So of course, if I take £3,500 away off of your personal allowance, 20% of £3,500 is £700, and that's what the Inland Revenue are taking from you, or £58.33p a month if you wanted to do it monthly. So if you have any problems or questions with your tax coding or anything like that, feel free to ping them across to me. It's adam@itsthemoneyguy.com. More than happy to sit down and explain that to you. You tend to get taxed for all manner of things, including benefits in kind, and of course if you're a 20% taxpayer, between the amounts of £12,570 and £37,700. Again, why did they do it at some random number? There you go. £37,700. If you get paid £37,701, you are then a higher rate taxpayer at 40%. It doesn't mean that you're getting taxed 40% from 12,500 to 37,701. It doesn't mean you're going to get taxed 40% on all that. If you are a higher rate taxpayer and you're getting paid £37,701, you are taxed 20% from £12,570 to £37,700. You're taxed 20% from that. The £1 over, that is what's taxed at 40%. So it's untrue when people believe that if they go over a certain point, they're suddenly going to start getting paid less. You will never get paid less. You'll always get paid more. It's just what you earn will be less of the money that you've earned, if that makes any sense. I don't know if I've just helped you or made it even worse. I'm not entirely sure. But if you have any questions, please feel free to get them in. Ask away. I'm going to be writing every 2 weeks in the Love Andover Observer, and I work for Andover Radio, so I'd love to get your questions out there on the podcasts, out on the websites, and of course in the local newspapers as well. So if you have any questions about money, feed them into me. I love to answer them, and if you allow me to, of course I'll put your name out and give you a shout out on those relevant platforms. For now, have a good rest of the week. It is #Money Monday. Get yourself added to my It's the Money Guy group. It's called It's the Money Guy group, marketing at its best. And of course, if you haven't done so already, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I'll be giving you hints and tips and just taking you through my journey of the money guy, really. So feel free to subscribe to that as well. It'd be ace. For now, have a great weekend, and I'll see you hopefully next week.